gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. I'm not certain I can live up to that expectation, but I'll do my best. I'd like to thank Birkbeck and particularly Paz for all her work in putting this together. And thank you to the master, Edwina Morton, Dr. Edwina Morton, to ask me to put this together. Now, the Worshipful Company of World Traders is interested in world trade. And I've had a pretty varied international career, as have many people in this room, or they're about to embark on an international career, from diplomats to business to professionals right across the board. And we always look at trade as something fine and something majestic and something ethical. Well, I hope what we're going to do tonight, particularly for those that are studying on the business course, is to think again about some of the risks and some of the issues around international trade that wouldn't naturally come to mind. So I put up a few things on the board here just to sort of get our minds ticking and get the flow going. So I want you to be a little honest with me. How many of you used a car wash? Wow. Perhaps the ladies, but maybe some of the men. Who's visited a nail bar? Whoa. Who's ever been to a hotel somewhere and asked the cleaner in the hotel, oh, excuse me, can I have an extra little bottle of shampoo? I've run out of shampoo. And when you went and talked to them, did they understand what you said? Did they speak English, or was there no known language? You'll get the drift of this in a minute. You needn't put your hand up because there's a gentleman here from the National Crime Agency. You can if you're feeling very brave. Who's responded to a government official asking for a bribe? Thank you, Robert. His name is Jonathan Smith.
I didn't say how I responded.
Who's used so-called recreational drugs? Who's bought virgin olive oil at a cheaper price, or think they have? Or who buys virgin olive oil? Put your hands up. Who's eaten horse meat and thought it was beef? Do you remember that one? Do you remember that one? It was Cheltenham Gold Club last week, so we shouldn't have that one up there. And last, probably germane to the subject, we're going to cover all these in different ways as the evening transpires. Who's engaged a business partner without conducting proper due diligence? And finally, my point is, who is a criminal in this room? Put your hands up. Well, the answer is probably none of you. None of you. So what are we talking about here? This is scene setting, because the exciting bits are to come. The slide depicts Mr. Innocent in the middle, well, or maybe Mr. Rotten, amongst all his nice colleagues. The issue here is very straightforward. Businesses are 1 nanosecond, 1 millimetre away from criminal activity, but they don't understand it. So if you take a business that bribes to win a contract, the chances are they're not that far away from modern slavery and trafficking, fraud, IP theft, money laundering, drugs, weapons, and cyber. It's that close. And it's the side that most people don't think about. Let's turn to modern slavery. How many of you travelled here on the tube today? You are probably 1 knee away from a trafficked person, or have been in the last week or so. The stats are there, and I'm not going to step on Alexander's patch, but they're pretty horrific, and they are for the United Kingdom, and that was from a briefing given by the National Crime Agency some time ago on slavery in the United Kingdom. And if you heard today, if you heard on the news, you would have heard that the number of reported cases of modern slavery in 2019 have doubled since 2018. Oh yes, the car wash and the nail bars. Don't forget that. There's my fake olive oil. How many of you have a smartphone? In the smartphone is a mineral called tantalum. It also has gold. And tantalum, in the main, comes from the mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's controlled by warlords and organised crime groups. And it sort of gets sane by the time it arrives in your Apple, your Samsung, or Huawei. DIY, lithium. Lithium comes from a similar source where conflict minerals are mined. And most conflict minerals are not mined with nice equipment. They're mined by kids going down the holes and digging this stuff out. Medicines. I'm not talking about recreational drugs. There is a huge market in counterfeit medicines, and they get into the health system. Almost all of us probably will have fallen foul of it at some point but never realised. And last but not least, fake olive oil. Now, I'll just put this into perspective. Sir James Ratcliffe, just invested in the Sky cycling team, is worth 13 billion. As of today, you know, what's a million here and there? Okay, he's probably gone down a bit now since he's invested in Sky, and he's about to take out Abramovich Chelsea, we hear. So James Dyson is but a minion in the wealth league of 5.8 billion. The Italian mafia in 2015 made $16 billion in a year on the sale of fake olive oil to the United States of America, using low-grade virgin oil and putting it in some of those brands you see there. Now you're beginning to get the message now. And this stuff not only happens in places which you wouldn't expect, but it's international. This is the Transparency International Corruptions Index, where the darker the colour, the higher ranking is of corruption. It also very much matches what happens where modern slavery takes place. So before I hand back to Paz, let me tell you a story, a real story, a bit of scale. And I hope by now you're beginning to whet your appetite of some of the things we're going to learn tonight and discuss. Bombardier is a well-known aerospace, railway and engineering company, and it's based out of Canada, but they make some of their railway kit in Sweden. And Swedes, very well known for a very ethical approach to business. They come very high on the Transparency Index of corruption. Okay? So they got an order for 46 sets of signalling equipment to supply to the railways in Baku, in Azerbaijan. The contract value was $19.6 million. They had an agent who facilitated this sale called Multiserve Overseas, which was based in London, not very far down the road here in the city of London. And the way it was arranged is Bombardier placed the invoice for the railway equipment through Multiserve Overseas in London. So they invoiced Multiserve Overseas, 19.6 million, and Multiserve Overseas invoiced Azerbaijan for $104.8 million. You do the maths. That's a 450% markup. But it gets better than that. When a visit was made to Multiserve's offices, no people, no telephones, no filing cabinets, no nothing. There was just a boilerplate in the solicitor's office. So on that note, and some thoughts, just to get the juices running about what we're going to be talking about tonight, I'll hand back to Paz. Thank you.